Welcome to She Can and She Will. My name is Marianne Brown, also known as the Country Mompreneur. I'm joined by my co-host, Disa McAllister. We are moms, work-from-home experts, and queens at helping women take control of their lives. On this show, you will learn from us as well as other women who kick butt in their lives and want to help you do the same. So sit back and get ready for some fun. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are very
Thank you.
We were reading your bio before you got on here, and we decided that we definitely needed this conversation today. We are both products of divorce. So
okay.
we definitely need this conversation. So we want to start by you telling us a little bit about yourself and what got you here today.
Yeah, well, it makes three of us because I'm divorced as well. My gosh, my journey it started, I was living in England actually, and I was married and had two little boys, and marriage really started falling apart when they were quite young, and got back to New York where I'm from and where I had family and friends around, and that's when we started the divorce proceedings. And in that whole process, I really took a very close look at how I was living my life and what I wanted for my future. And even though it was extremely traumatic and stressful, I really tried to look after myself by eating well, by surrounding myself with positive people, not just friends, but friends who were positive, because that helped me keep me going. And I tried to move my body and exercise, as much as I could, even though my sleep was terrible. And so when I was going through the process, it really helped me in the healing process because I was really looking after myself. I mean, this whole self-care, movement that we're all in. And I really took it to heart. And then I decided to formalize, my education, and I went back to school. So I have this after the divorce. And I got a certificate in Integrative Nutrition Health Coaching. And from there, I started figuring out, like, who do I want to serve? And I knew from experience, from personal experience, from friends' experience, that there was definitely a gap in helping divorced women and men recover from that stress. And so that's what I decided to focus on. So it's been several years now, and my clients are either going through divorce, have been divorced, and really want to put their lives back together. And it's a combination of looking at lifestyle factors. It's looking at food, sleep, movement, all of that. That's the integrative nutrition part, because it's not just food that makes us healthy. And, skinny doesn't mean healthy. So it doesn't mean that everybody has to lose weight. Healthy is much more encompassing than that. And as we get older, we want to fend off diseases and chronic illnesses, which can also be exacerbated with stress.
So that's what my first question was going to be, is what exactly is integrative nutrition and how do you help your clients with that?
Yeah. So integrative nutrition is really looking at lifestyle factors as well as what we eat. So there are basically 12 key lifestyle factors that need to be in balance for us to really feel fulfilled and to have our life in balance. So there's things like relationships, career, finances, home environment, our level of joy, just overall level of joy and health. Spirituality plays a role. Creativity. Do we have any outlets that we can express ourselves? Our level of physical activity, education, social life, those kinds of things. So when they're in balance, then we're much more likely to make better food choices, because if they're out of balance, think of it in the opposite, that's what's going to cause stress in our lives. And that stress leads to food cravings, leads to lack of sleep. And then it just snowballs because, when you're not sleeping, you're not motivated to move your body, you need energy. So, you grab that muffin because you just want that boost of energy, or that cup of coffee, or you want to wind down with the alcohol. You're just not making as clear, choices when you're not sleeping. So again, we look at lifestyle factors, what's stressing us, and causing, some pain in our lives. And then we combine that with looking at proper nutrition. So that's really the essence of integrative nutrition.
So, what exactly are you working one-on-one with people, or is this a group? Like how do you? How do you?
I do both. So mostly one-on-one. So I have a 5-month program, and it's called a True You program. My company is called True Wellness Within. So I have a True You program, and it's a 5-month program. We meet every other week on a Zoom call, and we go through what their goals are. We do an assessment right at the beginning to figure out what's out of balance. And between those sessions, there's a lot of following up and holding their hands. I like to say hold them accountable and hold their hands, because it's really hard to do this on your own. And you've just been through a tremendously traumatic experience. So, I feel like people often come, they're like flipping around in a dryer, and all of a sudden they get sort of, thrown out, and like here they are, they're like often living in a new place. They have maybe new friends. They may have a new job. If they weren't working, maybe they now have to start working. Obviously, relationships are all changed. So, things sort of need to calm and settle, and we figure out what their goals are. And then we start working towards those goals, taking small steps. So it's not overwhelming. It's really doable. And things go in tandem because we address lifestyle factors, and we never really know what's going to come up. And then we also sprinkle in the food. And then obviously from experience and from, my personal experience from working with a lot of clients in this situation, just understanding what somebody who's been through divorce now needs to face, like co-parenting, setting boundaries, finding new friends, making meaningful relationships again. It doesn't necessarily mean romantic. It could just be making friends. Which, friends are often, the casualty of divorce.
And it's sort of very hard. One of my friends and I were talking about, she lives far away from me. So we were talking about at this age, it's hard to make new friends. It's not like when you were younger and you could just go and hang out like
at a bar.
How do you make new friends? Yeah. It's so hard.
It is so hard. Cause it's oftentimes, I found like a lot of my friends were basically the parents of my, kids' friends. Yeah. And, that's fine. But like sometimes you just also want to make your own friends. And so, something I just recently did myself, I recently moved to a new town. And I went on Facebook. There's like a little, residence group. And I asked if there was a hiking group in the area. And they said, well, there's one that's like half an hour away. And I was like, okay, well, that's not going to work. I want to do really local hikes. I'm kind of in the country. It's one of the reasons I moved here. Yeah. And so I started my own group, and I kid you not, with less than 24 hours later, I had 130 people, and it was actually just women.
What?
It was 130 people also said, oh my gosh, sign me up, and I formed the group. I couldn't believe it. And like a week later, we had our first hike, which was a great success. And we now have 170 members. And they're all women, all in my town, who all like to go outside and move their body, exercise, get in the fresh air, which is exactly what I like to do. And so I'm going to use this as an opportunity to make friends and meet people. And, it's been great. We're going to try to do weekly hikes. That's good. That was just one random thing. I just took bull by the horns and just did it. I put myself out there, and that's often what it takes. We need a little spark.
Yeah, such a scary, initiation is putting yourself out there again.
Right.
Divorce is super grueling. I've been through 2 of them now, 10 years apart, right? The first one, I really tried to hold it together, and I'm fine. Everything's fine. This needed to happen. Everything's good. But I was not okay. The second one, I just admitted where I was. Like, I'm okay. I'm not okay. I had a breakdown every day. I couldn't control when that happened. Also necessary, but like for people who might not even know, like they're on bad footing right now. Like your life is kind of, you might be freaking out and not really be able to tell somebody. Like, what are the first steps in helping them reclaim part of their life back?
Yeah. I feel like there's so much support when you're going through the divorce. You've got lawyers, you've got financial people, friends and family are standing by. But then once that's over and you have this document, then it's like everything sort of falls away. So I think it's really important for people to have a therapist. I'm not a therapist. So that's something, for just mental health. I think that's just a critical part of the team. And when they're ready to just sort of put their lives back together, really that's where somebody like me can step in, because we look, again, it's not just food that makes you healthy, right? We really look at the areas in their lives that might need a little bit of work. And I mean, just as an example, like I had one client, she was addicted to Coke Zero. And she was like, I know it's not good for me. I want to get off this having Coke every single day. It's also really expensive. And so she said, can you help me do that? And I said, of course. So we did our exercise right at the beginning. We figured out what wasn't working in her life. And she admitted to me that her home environment was not right. Like she couldn't even use her dining room table because it was covered with like art projects from her kids and mail that had come in. She worked from home, and her home office was basically, her filing system was on her bed, in the spare bed in that room. I'm sure we can all admit to that. She had kids' clothing, that had outgrown, busting out of the closets. And it was like, the list went on and on. And so I was like, well, let's focus a little bit on getting your home environment in order, and as well as looking at the soda. But, you need to clear your space, and this is your home. This is your sanctuary. And it really was cluttering her mind. She couldn't think straight. She couldn't move on. And so we put a program together, and it took about 6 weeks. She installed shelving in her home office. She went to the donation center many, many times. She cleared off her dining table. She started a whole recycling system. And then she was like, okay, great. Now let's look at some of the other things. And again, home environment, it really is one of the 12 key lifestyle factors. So you never really know what the problems are going to be. Sometimes they're quite obvious, like a breakdown in relationship. But something like a home environment not really working for her, or just being in a cluttered environment. So it's hard to say where to start, because everybody is going to be different, but that's why I do an assessment right at the beginning. And then that's what we base the goals on, where the person wants to, where they want to go.
So how do you get through your day? Between work, your family, and all the in-betweens, who has the time to connect with others who face your similar struggles? Join us at our monthly Women Helping Women virtual networking sessions to make connections with other women who face your same struggles. Make new contacts, whether you are looking for business connections, accountability partners, or to build relationships. If you've never joined a virtual networking session, it's very laid back, and we try to make it fun for all who attend. We ask you share your name, what you do for a living, and what you're looking to get out of the session. We encourage people with like interests to share their contact info to connect once the session is over. This is a great opportunity to build bonds with new people who you never would have met in your day-to-day life. So whether you're looking to make professional connections or looking to find some new friends, sign up for our next session. Find more information at thecountrymompreneur.com. So now tell me about you yourself. What's something that you learned between your divorce and where you are today?
Oh my goodness. Let's see. What have I learned? I learned that I'm stronger than I think. Oh. That was huge. I really felt unempowered when I was in my marriage. It wasn't a great relationship, and it went on for a long time, and way longer than it needed to.
Sometimes you look back and you're like, why didn't I end it sooner? Like, even though at the time you just couldn't consider it, but then like once it's over, you're like, I should have done it.
Yeah. I mean, for me, my situation was kind of unique because I wasn't even living in this country. So the thought of doing all of that, that was a huge reason. But once I started the process and started putting my life back together, I was like, wow, I can do this. And I moved out. And then I started this program to re-educate myself and start a new career and start a company. I mean, I never in a million years would have thought that I could do that. I always worked for companies. I didn't think I would go out on my own. Like, that's just wasn't in the stars at all. And it just sort of evolved. So again, I just was much stronger than I thought. And I really felt like if I can just do this, I can move out and I can start a career. I mean, I can do anything. And that's what I really want to help other people see, that they have the possibility that they can have a wonderful life. Their chapter 2 can definitely be better than their chapter 1. They just can't always see it for themselves because they're in that chaos, especially just coming out of the divorce. They don't know what direction, and they've lost so much confidence. So that's a huge piece where I help people. I just see that they can do it and build their confidence back up.
Some people just think that their identity is wife. And without that label, who am I? And they got to realize there's more.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I think a lot of women especially are like, well, you know what? I'm going to get out of this bad relationship because I don't have to put up with it and I deserve better. And we do. We all deserve better. And it's just one thing, you know, I feel like it's just such an honor to help some of these women, and men. Most of my clients are women though. It's just so wonderful to see that they can come out the other side and just, you know, have a little bit more of a bounce in their step and have a direction. And it's just not as bad as usually as they think.
You are just hitting such a special niche with this. I bet you are helping a lot of women. So to kind of go off topic for a second, for just one question, sure. What is one way that you stay organized?
I do like to keep lists. So I have lots of Post-it notes around me. And you know what I do is not only do I make a list, I put a little box, like an open box next to the item. And then I actually get to check it off because I love that satisfaction. Yes.
Nothing feels better than to check off something on a list. It feels so good.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I mean, these are some of the baby step things that I teach in my program because I teach people how to set new habits and make new behaviors. Mm-hmm. And part of that is to celebrate and give yourself praise for when you do something, even no matter how small it is. Like the first time you went on a walk in 10 years. Give yourself a great big pat on the back. Go look in yourself in the mirror and give yourself a big smile because you deserve it. And when you have that positive reinforcement, you're much more likely to do that habit again. So that's part of my program. And it's the same thing when I check that thing off my list. It just feels really good. And I go, yay.
There's one of the project management programs that you can use that when you check off an item, it does like a unicorn and fireworks.
Confetti.
Yes. It makes us feel so happy.
Rainbow comes out.
I think the world would be much better if we all had like virtual confetti in our lives. Yes. Not the real one, because that might pollute the environment. But
okay, so if someone is listening and they want to reach out to you and work with you, and how can they do that? What are all your...
Yeah. So the best way to get in touch with me is probably through my Facebook group. I have a private Facebook group called The Divorce Detox with True Wellness Within. It's a private Facebook group. I just ask a few questions so people can come in, make sure that they're qualified to be there, basically being divorced. And it's a wonderful community for people to join and really supportive. My website is also called truewellnesswithin.com. And anybody can send me an email, Suzy, Suzy, at truewellnesswithin.com. And if anybody is they want to take a quiz, I have something on my website, at truewellnesswithin.com/divorced. They can take a quiz. Has your body healed from the stress of your divorce? And they can find out, see where they stand. It kind of gives a little bit of a glimpse where they are. And anybody can feel free to reach out if they have any more questions or just want to get some more clarity and start living that best next chapter of your life.
Awesome. And I see, nobody else can see, but I see Disa already typing and filling that out right now as we speak. I got you.
I went straight to the Facebook group.
Yes, please.
I need all of these people in my life right now.
Awesome. Well, Suzy, thank you so much for joining us today. This has been great.
Thank you. Thank you both. This is wonderful.
Thank you for listening. For more information, join us at thepmagency.com.